When you talk about consistency, growth, and that undeniable screen presence that makes viewers stop scrolling and actually pay attention. One name that keeps commanding attention in Nollywood right now is Maurice Sam, and it's not just because of looks or hype. It's because this guy has mastered something a lot of actors are still struggling with, which is believable acting. The kind that doesn't feel like acting at all. And that's exactly why anytime he appears in a scene, especially alongside someone like Pearl Watts, the difference becomes very clear, because what you're watching is not just two actors reading scripts. It's two performers creating moments that feel real, raw, and emotionally grounded, and that's where Maurice Sam stands out the most, because he understands that acting is not about who talks the loudest or who cries the hardest. It's about control, timing, and emotional intelligence, and if you've been following his performances closely, you'll notice that he doesn't rush his delivery, he allows the scene to breathe. He gives space for reactions, and that's something that elevates not just his performance but the entire production. Because when one actor understands packing, it naturally pulls the other actor into that same rhythm. And that's exactly what we're seeing when he's paired with Pearl Watts. There's this natural synchronization that happens, like both of them are tuned to the same emotional frequency. And that kind of connection cannot be faked. It comes from understanding the craft on a deeper level, and Maurice Sam clearly has that understanding locked in. Because even in simple scenes, the way he uses his facial expressions alone tells a whole story. Sometimes he doesn't even need to say much. His eyes do the talking, his pauses carry meaning, and his body language completes the message. And that's what makes viewers feel connected without even realizing it, because subconsciously, people respond to authenticity, and Maurice Sam delivers that authenticity effortlessly. Now bring Pearl Watts into that equation and what you get is something even more engaging, because she brings a calm but expressive energy that blends perfectly with his style. She doesn't try to overpower the scene, she complements it. And that's why their chemistry feels so organic, because both actors understand that the goal is not to compete but to collaborate. And that collaboration is what creates those unforgettable scenes that fans keep talking about, especially on social media where reactions are instant and brutally honest. Because if a scene feels forced, people will call it out immediately. But when it feels real, the engagement speaks for itself. And we've seen that happen multiple times with Maurice Sam's performances, particularly in emotionally charged scenes where the balance between intensity and subtlety is very important. And that's where he shines the most, because he knows exactly when to push and when to hold back, and that level of control is what separates professionals from amateurs. Because a lot of actors tend to overact in emotional scenes, thinking that louder means better, but Maurice Sam does the opposite. He pulls you in with restraint. He makes you lean in to understand what the character is feeling, and that creates a stronger emotional impact, and Pearl Watts matches that energy beautifully. She responds with precision. She listens within the scene, and that's something many people overlook, because acting is not just about delivering lines, it's about listening and reacting. And when both actors are fully present in that moment, the result is something that feels almost too real to be scripted. And that's exactly the kind of experience viewers are getting when they watch Maurice Sam and Pearl Watts together. It feels less like a performance and more like a real-life interaction unfolding in front of your eyes, and that's the magic of good acting. It removes the barrier between fiction and reality. And Maurice Sam has mastered that transition, because he doesn't approach roles casually. You can tell there's preparation, there's intention, there's a deep understanding of the character he's portraying, and that preparation shows in the little details. The way he adjusts his tone depending on the situation. The way he maintains eye contact or deliberately breaks it. The way he uses silence to communicate tension or emotion. All of these things are deliberate choices, and that's what makes his performances feel layered instead of flat. And when he's acting with Pearl Watts, those layers become even more pronounced, because she gives him something to work with. She brings her own depth into the scene, and together they create something that feels balanced and complete, not one-sided or forced. And that's why fans are beginning to pay closer attention to their collaborations, because it's not just about the storyline anymore, it's about how the story is being told. And Maurice Sam is proving over and over again that he knows how to tell a story in a way that keeps people invested from start to finish. And let's be real, in today's fast-paced digital space where attention spans are short and content is everywhere, holding a viewer's attention is not easy. But Maurice Sam has found a way to do it consistently, and that's why people are starting to describe him as top-notch, because that level of consistency is not common. It takes discipline, it takes passion, and most importantly, it takes a genuine love for the craft, and you can see that love in the way he approaches every role. He doesn't treat it like just another job. He treats it like an opportunity to create something meaningful, something memorable. And that mindset is what keeps pushing him forward, because in an industry like Nollywood where competition is high and new faces are constantly emerging, staying relevant requires more than just talent. It requires growth, adaptability, and a willingness to keep improving. And Maurice Sam is clearly doing that, because if you compare his earlier performances to what he's delivering now, the growth is obvious, the confidence is stronger, the delivery is sharper, and the overall presence is more refined. And that's what makes his current collaborations with Pearl Watts even more interesting to watch, because you're seeing an actor who is fully stepping into his potential. And when that kind of growth meets the right co-actor, the results are always powerful, and that's exactly what's happening here, because Pearl Watts is not just there to fill a role, she brings her own strength into the scene, her own emotional awareness, and that creates a dynamic where both actors are feeding off each other's energy. And that's what creates those standout moments that people can't stop talking about, because when a scene is done right, it doesn't just entertain, it resonates, it sticks with you, it makes you feel something. And that's the ultimate goal of storytelling, and Maurice Sam understands that deeply, which is why he doesn't settle for surface-level performances, he digs deeper. He looks for the emotional core of the character, and he brings that to life in a way that feels genuine. And when you pair that with Pearl Watts' ability to match that emotional depth, what you get is a performance that feels complete, balanced, and impactful. And that's why more and more viewers are starting to recognize what Maurice Sam brings to the table, because it's no longer just about popularity, it's about respect for the craft. It's about acknowledging the effort and skill that goes into creating something that feels real. And right now, Maurice Sam is earning that respect, one performance at a time, especially in scenes where chemistry matters, because let's be honest, not every actor can create believable chemistry with just anyone. Sometimes it feels forced, sometimes it feels awkward, but with Maurice Sam and Pearl Watts, it feels natural, like they understand each other's rhythm, like they know when to step in and when to step back. And that kind of understanding is what makes their scenes stand out.